friends, my name is Natalie and welcome to my channel, Pages and Panels. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some books and manga that are coming out this January that are on my radar and just talk a bit about them with you. I do want to preface this whole video by saying I'm so sorry if this is not in focus. I have not used this camera in such a long time, and that is my fear right now, is that this is not even in focus or the audio is going to be weird. So please do bear with me for these first couple of videos as I'm coming back. I've not done this in such a long time that I'm going to have to get readjusted. But let's just go ahead and get into this list because I have quite a few to talk to you about. So we're going to start off with the books and then go into the manga last. But first up, we have Small World by Laura Zigman. This is a literary fiction novel about a woman named Joyce who has been divorced for a while now, and she is just now getting used to the single life. But then her sister, who is also divorced, ends up moving in with her. Throughout this, Joyce is thinking like, maybe this is a good opportunity to bond more with my sister, but in the process of that, some things from their past and their childhood start to come up. And one of those things is actually the loss of their 10-year-old sister, who they have never really talked about with each other. And so this story is really just about these two sisters coming together and kind of reckoning with their childhood after all these years. And this one just made it on my list because I really love a good emotional sibling story, especially with stories about sisters. I don't even have a sister, but something about them just really works for me. So this one's on my list, and I actually pre-ordered this book, so I'm planning to read this one soon, and I will come back to you with my full thoughts on it. Next up, we have a thriller. This is called Just the Nicest Couple, and it seems like kind of your average like domestic thriller, but made on my list somehow. And this is about Nina's husband, Jake, who has been missing for days. And he went missing after leaving their house following a heated argument they had. And since then, she's been looking all over the place for him, and she's starting to grow restless. And she's starting to ask around town. Nobody has seen them. However, her coworker and her friend Lily thinks she may have been the last to see him. And so Lily confides in her husband, and after doing so, her husband is like, "You can't tell anybody this. We have got to keep this under wraps." And Nina is over here hell-bent on finding her husband, and of course, you know, she's gonna track her down and she's gonna get to the bottom of this. So this one seems interesting, but I'm not putting a whole bunch of weight in it that I'm gonna enjoy it just because it seems, I don't want to say basic because that seems kind of rude, but still gonna keep it on my list because there's potential there. Next, we have another literary fiction novel, and this is really good actually. And this is about a 29-year-old woman named Maggie who is kind of at rock bottom in her life. She is broke, she's struggling writing her graduate thesis, and she is freshly divorced after a short-lived marriage. But she's trying to focus on the bright side of things, such as the extra time she has for all her new hobbies. And this one really just made this list because I have been loving these literary fiction books about these girls in their 20s who are just really going through it and trying to navigate life. Something about those stories I really resonate with because I'm still in my 20s and I feel like I am consistently trying to put my life back together and it's just falling apart. It's a cycle of that over and over again, which I feel like that's just life in general. Next up, we have one that I know is on everybody else's list, and that is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I've only read one other book of Grady Hendrix, so I'm kind of behind even though I own all of his books up to this point, and I'm hoping to get through them sometime this year. But I am real excited about this one because it just seems right up my alley. And this is a story following Luis and Mark, who are siblings, and they are forced to come together following the death of their parents who died at the end of the pandemic, and they're kind of just having to get their affairs in order, and one of those things is to sell their childhood home. But when they go to kind of clean up the place, they notice some things are a little weird. Like their parents have taped up some newspapers on the mirrors throughout the house, and they have nailed the attic door shut. So something's going on here, and I'm sure we're gonna figure out along with them and if this house is truly haunted. I am so excited for this one. And also I love the cover. It kind of looks like a little toy house like on the carpet, which I think is really cool and so in line with Grady Hendrix kind of vibe, I feel like. So really looking forward to this one. Next we have a YA thriller, which is not something you'll see on my list too often because I'm kind of getting away from reading YA books, only because they have just not really been working for me lately. But if you do see a YA book, it's probably going to be a thriller, and this one sounds so good. This is called The Black Queen, and is about a young girl named Nova who was crowned the first Black homecoming queen at Lovett High School. But then she is found dead the next morning in the old slave cemetery in town, and Nova's best friend, Duchess, thinks she knows who killed her. And that is Tinsley, who is not only white, wealthy, and beautiful, but she also comes from a long line of homecoming queens. This one sounds like it's going to be in the same vein as The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson, which is one that is still on my TBR from last year, and I'm hoping to read as well as this one. But I'm just really looking forward to this and the social commentary that it has. I'm sure the two are going to be pretty similar, but we'll see, and I will check in with you later to let you know. I think there's another cover for this too, for the UK version, that I saw that I actually prefer. I'll put that up if this is the book that I'm thinking of that has a really awesome UK cover, so you can see it, because I think I might order that one if it's the one that I'm thinking about. Next up is a horror book that I'm so excited about and I've already pre-ordered, and that is episode 13. And this is about a husband and wife duo who are the lead members of this ghost hunting reality show called Fade to Black, and they are about to film their 13th episode, which they have promised is going to be their most groundbreaking episode yet. And they're going to this abandoned haunted mansion, and shit's just gonna get wild, I guess. But this story is not told in just the normal format. It actually is gonna be told in tapes, correspondence, research files, just to kind of show how everything went terribly wrong. And I'm so excited. I love a mixed media book, and I feel like this one has the potential to be something I could love, which I'm really looking for horror books, because I've read a few this past year and I'm really trying to into it a bit more, and I haven't found one that I like absolutely love yet, but this one definitely has potential, so I'm going to be waiting by my mailbox for this one. Next up, we have another horror book, and that is Tell Me I'm Worthless, which is about a young girl named Alice who 3 years ago spent the night in an abandoned house with two of her friends, and since then her life has been kind of spiraling out of control. After all this torment, they decide to go back to the horrors that happened in that house to really figure out what happened, I guess. I don't really know, to be honest. I kind of just want to go into this book blind, but the reason I got it on my list is because it reminds me a little bit of the premise of Beneath the Stairs, which I read, I want to say it may have been the end of 2021, but it came out last year. I had an art copy of it, but I really enjoyed that one, so I'm hoping to enjoy this one as well. Finally, to the last book on this list, and this is The Drift by CJ Tudor, and this is a survival thriller that takes place during a snowstorm, and it is told in 3 separate storylines that eventually all come together. So the first, we have a medical student who survived a bus crash on the way to the retreat, which seems to be the location that all these people are heading towards, or whatever. I don't really know what it is. But the second we have is a former police officer who wakes up on a cable car in a snowstorm on the way to the retreat, which sounds absolutely terrifying. And then lastly, we have an employee who is at the retreat where it seems a bunch of shit is going down. So this book just seems like it's going to be kind of chaotic, all over the place, madness, and I'm so here for it. And I've read one other book from CJ Tudor, which was Other People, and while I didn't love that book because of the ending just really threw me for a loop and just didn't work for me personally, I did really enjoy the writing, so I am looking forward to this one because it just sounds like a good time. Let's go ahead and get into the manga really quick so we can wrap this all up, because definitely been talking for too long. First up, we have Kaiju number 8, volume 5, which is a shonen series that I've really been enjoying lately. I actually finished the 4th volume last night and it left on this massive cliffhanger, so I cannot wait to have this one in my hands. But this is a series that follows a man who is in his mid-30s, and he has always dreamed of joining the Japan Defense Force, which is a military organization tasked with eliminating kaiju. but then he ends up becoming one himself and ends up on their list, listed as kaiju number 8 to be neutralized. And this happens right before he actually joins the task force. One that I would recommend to anybody that really enjoys Attack on Titan but is looking for something a bit lighter, because this has more of a comedic tone to it than a depressing, serious one. But it has a lot of elements that Attack on Titan has, and I'm just really loving it. So if you're looking for a good shonen to read, highly recommend picking this one up. Then we have the first in a new series called Oshi no Koi, which I've probably said wrong, so forgive me. But this one I couldn't find a good synopsis for, but a reviewer did pitch it in the review, so I'm going to quickly just read to you what they said because it sounds absolutely bonkers. It says, imagine you're a gynecologist of a hospital where your favorite idol goes to see you for a consultation incognito because she's 20 weeks pregnant and carrying twins. Then you're stabbed to death by a mystery assailant and reincarnated as one of the twins. I don't know how people come up with this stuff, but it sounds like I would not gather that from this cover whatsoever. So looking forward to reading this one and really seeing what that's all about. Next up we have another first volume, which is Honey Lemon Soda, which seems to be kind of a coming of age like teen story, but it's about a young girl who had a horrible experience in middle school to where she forgot how to laugh and even how to say hello to others. But then she has a chance encounter with a lemon-haired boy and she starts to kind of open up again. But this one just seems really cute. I've heard some people say some good things about it, so I'm gonna wait for some reviews of that one, I think, and potentially check it out. Then we have the second volume of I Want to Be a Wall, which is a series that I really want to start, and I only added it to this list because it is one that I really want to read. And also I really love the second cover and the yellow in it. I just think it looks so good. But this series is about two people, an asexual woman who loves BL manga and a gay man in love with his childhood best friend who start a fake marriage to get their parents off their back. I heard incredible things from my friends for the first volume, so I'm looking forward to picking this one up in this year. And another first volume is My Secret Affection. And this one is another weird one. This is about a instant where 30 years ago, meteorites from space made everyone in the world gay and heterosexuality no longer exists. But then a young girl ends up falling for her childhood best friend, who is a boy, and she is doing everything she can to act normal when they hang out. This is only a 2-volume series, so I'm interested to pick it up just because it sounds so bizarre, but I have some hesitations. But I'll let you know if I do pick it up and my thoughts on it, because this one just seems like a weird one. Lastly, we have Polar Bear Cafe Collector's Edition Volume 1, which is based off of the anime. I've never seen it, but I may want to watch it because it sounds pretty cute. And it is a slice of life manga about a cafe ran by a polar bear that both humans and animals visit. It is said to be quirky and full of colorful characters such as a pretentious penguin and a panda who has a part-time job as a panda at a zoo. So it just looks really cute. I don't really know if I'm gonna pick this one up for sure or not, but I may, if I'm looking for a little just quick kind of pick-me-up sort of read, I may request it from my library or something. But yeah, that's it for this list. Thankfully, I feel like I've been talking for 2 hours. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!